What is going on, Warrior? Today's episode in honor of Father's Day and, of course, in honor of my wife and I's recent announcement that we are going to have a daughter. We're going to be parents, and I'm so excited. But in that today's episode, I wanted to share with you actually a story from one of our recent graduates, a parent and son combo. It's actually the youngest to go through our program. The child has type 1 diabetes and did absolutely incredible in our program. So we're going to give you kind of an inside look into what our program looks like, show their experiences, and like myself, you might even shed a tear towards the end of this episode. So hope you enjoy, and let's get to it. Amazing. Well, like I said, I'm super stoked to have this chat with you guys. And I mean, this was really a new journey for both of us, bringing in somebody as young as Maddie into the program. And I kind of want to let everybody else know what that was like, and even just kind of give them a warm up to your story and get them into your world. So before we jump into the meat of the share your story portion, can we jump into a little bit about Maddie's diabetes and your perspective of that? Like, was he MDI or pump when we started? How long has he been type 1 diabetic? All that kind of stuff?
Sure. So he was diagnosed on February 11th of 2020. He went into DKA. I thought he had a stomach bug, but it turned out he was going into DKA. And when I got him to the hospital, they told me he was diabetic. I said, no, he's not. That's just silly. Like, no, because I never knew what type 1 was. I just assumed type 2. And I'm like, we eat healthy. We have a healthy lifestyle. And after going back and forth, we got the diagnosis and everything changed from that day on. His A1C was at 13.8 or something. So he had been, they said he's probably been going on and on in the high numbers since November of 2019. So it was probably 4 months of him just climbing and climbing and climbing.
Wow.
So we started with MDI, and we stayed with MDI for a long time. He actually did not switch to the pump until March, which was 3 months ago. Which I got to say, I mean, pump is so much more accurate than MDI, because honestly, like the MDI, you really don't know what's being injected to you. You don't know if you're getting the whole dose, if something's going on with the insulin in the pen. With the pump, it's it hits so much faster. We've learned that we don't have to pre-bolus as long. It's actually a night and day kind of thing. So I'm so grateful for the pump, because it's changed our world on top of you changing our world. So it was just a beautiful domino effect of things that just fell into place.
That's amazing. And I mean, with the recent diagnosis, right? I mean, it was about a year since he got diagnosed into you coming to our program. Before that, what was life like? I mean, obviously we had the interesting worldwide events that were kind of going around. And what was that like, getting diagnosed or having Maddie diagnosed during that time for you guys?
It was kind of scary, because we literally were just getting the leaks that COVID was, starting to come into the United States. And, there was a little bit of scampering going on in the hospital because people weren't sure what was what was happening. So, it was kind of scary, because we're thinking, oh my God, we're going on this crazy disease is happening, and he's already been diagnosed with something that we don't know anything about. So it kind of, it was hard enough dealing with T1D and then throwing COVID into the mix of all that, not knowing what we were handling, which we actually got it. We got COVID November of 2020 on my birthday, November 17th.
Oh, wow.
Which was a great birthday present, let me tell you.
Yikes.
And ironically, because I was just going over the notes, it actually went hand in hand with our first really, really scary low that we had the ambulance here. So on the 17th, I woke up sick. And on the 19th, he was dropping so low, I couldn't keep up. And he was in the 40s. And his lowest number, I think, was 38. And he was shaking, and he lost feeling in his legs. And he was starting to sweat like crazy. I gave him juice box after juice box. I didn't do the 15-minute, wait. My gut was saying, don't wait, just keep going. So I handed 4 juice boxes, one after the next. He had 2 glucose tabs. He had Skittles. And basically it took probably about half hour before he started climbing back up again. And then, of course, when it goes one way, it goes back the other, because we didn't have your training at that point. So he was in the 400s by 8 p.m. that evening, and that's where he stayed for many hours. So that actually was our deciding factor of, we need help, like in a big way. And I remembered the video and I was like, this guy says he does training, and let's look into him, because you just have this way about you that you come across like, what's going on, you have the information, you want to help people, and you seem very genuine. And you were from San Diego and your name is Matt. So I was like, come on, all the signs are pointing to this dude. So, so yeah, we, by the grace of God, we found you. And since then, everything has changed. Like literally everything has changed. He has been constantly getting better. We went from an A1C, it's like 8.9 right after we started your program, and he was at 19% in range, which is terrible. And we were hanging out in the 2 and 300s because we were really scared of that low. Now we are at 7 A1C, like 7.0, which is beyond our goal. Because the goal with you is 7.5. We're like, yeah, we just want to get him around 7.5, but we exceeded that. We're at 7.0, which was just in May. And he's beautifully like steady most of the time. He has his little spikes, but we know how to handle it now. And there's none of that, oh my God, you're dropping. Oh my God, juice box after juice box. We don't even use juice boxes anymore, actually. We use either a glucotab or the little SOS packets that he takes a spoonful under his tongue. So, and there's no rebound of 400 after that, it's just beautiful. Like there's no more like, my son's going to die, or we're going to go to the hospital, or it's more like, I have this, we got this, and that's thanks to you, honestly.
Oh, that is just incredible to hear. I mean, of course, I love hearing these stories as well, but like the work that you put in, both of you, right? Like I know that wasn't a fun period for Maddie where he's like going through these testing phases and like learning about diabetes. Like, what? There's more homework outside of school. But absolutely incredible work ethic, dedication to this diabetes thing, right? This new diagnosis that you guys took and ran with it. And it was just absolutely incredible to watch that from my perspective. Like just seeing, Maddie was wearing a shirt right now, like the warrior shirt, he completely embodied that, right?
Oh, he's the warrior.
Oh my goodness. It was it was inspiring. Honestly, Matt, like you inspired me when just watching you go through this at such a young age. Do you mind me asking how old you are?
11.
11. I wouldn't have done that at 11. Like, I'm just being real. You're more dedicated than I would have been, and it blows my mind. It's absolutely incredible. And I know that you mentioned, Tracy, that he was around 19% before the program. Where are you guys at now? What's that look like?
Oh, he's like between 80 and 90% in range, which is amazing.
I love that.
We had a run, actually. We had a run of 100% in range for 70 hours straight. It was amazing.
Holy cow, 70 hours. I'm trying to think. Like that's like record setting right there. That's a lot of time.
And we still ate like regular things. We didn't like switch.
I love that. So you're living your life and you look down like 2 days into it and you're like, oh my gosh, we've been in range for 2 days straight. Is that kind of how it happened?
It was crazy. He's like, Mom, look, it's like 24 hours. And he's like, we got to keep going. So then it became like this game, like, oh, let's see how far we can push this. And it's like, we thought we hit max at 33 and then it was 66. And I'm like, oh my God, like we're just going. I was like, what's happening? But yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was so good.
Yeah. Dang, well, great job with that, Maddie. That's incredible. 100% for days on end. I love hearing that. Yeah. My goodness. Okay, so then if we're looking back to like where you guys started, right? We know it was at 19%, sure, but like maybe from Tracy's perspective, but you guys can both answer. What was like the main struggle before you joined the program? What was the big frustration beforehand?
Being super, super scared of the lows. Like that was our biggest fear. I literally woke up, I'd set my alarm every single hour throughout the night, every hour. And I would check him because I was so terrified that he was going to drop. Because when we started your program, we were at 11 Lantus and we just had come down off of 12 Lantus. because of the drop. And when we finished your program, we were at 8 lantus. So that was a big difference when you drop that many units in a couple months' time. And now, like, his basal is really low. I think it's like 4.5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We even recently had to change it because it was too high.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm super stoked that you guys found the right ratio. I remember we first started out and I was like, why does it keep going down at night? And we have to snack before bed. And it's just like, oh, wow, we got to make some big shifts, right? And
we've never known that. Yeah. Like, I was giving him peanut butter and granola bars, and I'm like, no kid should eat this crap before bed. It's not good for you. Like, it would eat at me because I just want to feed him like good food, like I get the kid, he wants to eat, junk food once in a while, but I not at bedtime especially. So that's a relief that now that's gone. That's in the past.
Yeah, and then when we had that serious low after that, we would like go completely crazy. If I even hit like 100, we would just go crazy.
Panic mode, full on panic. We'd both be sweating. I'm like trying to keep my cool because the mom has to be composure for the son and show him it's okay. Meanwhile, I'm panicking inside saying, please God, not again. So that is gone. Like that, I never thought that feeling would leave, but that feeling is gone. And I'm like forever grateful for that, because that's scary. As a parent, nobody wants to see their kids suffer ever. And he was going through enough as it was. So to have the fear of the lows and know that it's not really in my hands, even though it is. Like, if he goes so low, like, I just have to pray to God the medicine kicks in or the sugar kicks in. And so now with like the correct toolbox and knowing what I'm doing, it's literally night and day, because I don't have that fear. I'm just like, I know we got this. Don't worry about it.
I don't remember the last time I've been below 70.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Seriously.
Can't
That's
remember.
amazing. So that's certainly an absolutely like astonishing accomplishment. To not remember the last time you go below 70, just to not have lows be like a part of your life is fantastic. But on the other side of that, it's not that you're still hanging out in the 300s to avoid hitting 70, right? Like, what's the average blood sugar nowadays?
He hangs out between 140 and 180.
All right.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Like, and
So,
usually 180 is like right after the meals, unless it's like a super high carb meal, then he goes up to like 200. But he hasn't been above 250 in a long time, aside from like 1 or 2 instances with like pizza or like eating out at a restaurant where the carbs were not correct.
yeah.
Below 300 is a huge accomplishment for us, so that is also another big thing that we've actually succeeded with, is staying below 250, and more hanging out. And our highest is like 210, 220, and then he just goes right back down.
Wow. That's amazing. I love hearing that. So we had the lows that were a bit of a frustration, a bit of a struggle beforehand. Before working with us, what was the attempts that you might have made? Was it like, I know the snacking before bed, right? That was a big part of it. But outside of snacking, were there other attempts that you guys made, or was it still just trial and error?
Well, for myself, because I am a scientist myself, I like to figure out why things are happening and how to do it. And so I kept, when I say records, I mean binders full.
Oh, there we go.
I literally documented. I had all these rows, and it would be the carbs, what he started at, how much we shot him, what he ate, and a 2-hour reading, 3-hour reading, 4-hour reading post meal, like, just so I could track all these numbers and figure out, how do I do this? But there was something missing. I didn't have the correct puzzle pieces, and I didn't know where to put everything because I wasn't properly trained. We were told, here's your medicine, you do the carb ratio, and, good luck.
Right.
It's basically it. You don't get much training aside from that.
We had the numbers, we just didn't know the equations.
Right. And that's where your program came in. You gave us the tools, you gave us the equations. You said, oh, well, it's great, you know how to do basic math, but let me show you how to do a little bit more. Let me show you algebra and trigonometry and calculus. And like, we feel like we've mastered it, and that's, I guess, mastering diabetes is part of your slogan.
I love that. That's amazing. So we had the numbers beforehand. We just didn't know where to put them, and that was a big shift for you guys. I mean, was there like a moment in the program where you realized it was working for you guys?
Yeah, we knew right away because you actually gave us tools that was like, oh, hey, your basal is the most important step. You need to figure out what's happening with the basal. And we looked at it and like, oh my God, we've been like, this poor kid's been on 12 and 13. And no wonder why he's dropping nonstop and we're shoving sugar down his throat, like it was right away. As soon as we made that basal change, things started looking different. And we're like, oh my God, this really could work. Like this guy really does know what he's doing.
Mm,
Yeah.
I love that. And yeah, on the basal note, I mean, we've actually seen this more common than I would like to see. Honestly, there's the basals being completely off with people that come into our program. And it's like, so how long have you guys been dealing with this? And they're like, oh, 20 years. And my doctors had my basal set wrong. And I'm like, what? Right. And you went from, you said 13 to 12. You started the program at 12. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. And then 12 all the way down to 8. My goodness. So was it like the doctor tell you, okay, he's going high during the day, let's just keep increasing basal? Is that the idea?
Yep. Now, every time I'd be like, oh, he's like in the 300s. How do I get him down? The insulin's not working. So she's like, okay, let's increase the basal by 1. And let's do it again. And I'm like, oh my God, how much,
Well, of course. And then you hear, from the doctor, you're like, okay, they know what they're talking about. So more medicine should help, right? And then it just kind of, it puts you in a tricky situation. So I'm so glad we were able to isolate that, and, especially with the nighttime snacks. You don't want to have to force feed. Like snacking is a great option, but we don't want to have to rely on it, right? So, oh man, love that we got that back and had that transition. So before the program started, before you knew me, because obviously, we weren't acquaintances, even though we had San Diego and Matthew in common. What did make you guys take a chance on me, some stranger on the internet, right?
You have this air about you where you own it. You know what I mean? Like we watched, first off, I found you on YouTube because I was trying to figure out how to fix his Dexcom. And so that is actually what led me to you, because I was like, oh, aside from your good looks, I was like, oh, I'll just watch this video. I'm being honest, oh my God, this guy knows what he's talking about. And I started watching more videos, and I told my husband, I'm like, we got to watch these videos. You got to see this guy. He knows what he's talking about. Like, he's got information that we need, like I want to give him everything. I want to give him the best this life has to offer. And I want him to be healthy, and I want him to have the long, healthy life as much as possible, and a normal life. He's a kid. I want him to be a kid. And when I saw your videos and I saw how much that you put into your own testing on yourself, and you're not just a coach, like you're a person who struggles with this disease yourself. So as someone who knows and has been there, I wanted to put my faith in you, because I'm like, this guy, he uses his own body as his experimental tool, and he's doing it for the sake of other people so that other people don't have to. And I think that is like courageous and commendable. And I had to know more. So.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm like blushing now. But that was, oh my goodness. Yeah, that's why it's there. And I'm so excited that you found that Dexcom video and then kind of fell down what it sounds like the rabbit hole, right? Just like, okay, who is this guy and what does he know? And then ultimately ended up on a phone call with me, and we chatted about Matthew's age, being younger, and we had our chat where I was like, look, you got to be there as mom on the calls with him, and you're like, oh, absolutely. And I had to know that both of you were in this together, and it wasn't just mom trying to change her son's mind, like, oh, you should definitely do this. And I was like, no, Matthew, he was on the call with us. It was like, I'm ready, let's do this. I was like, holy cow, this kid is on top of it. Like, Matthew, that was incredible. On that first call we had, you were motivated, and I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's bring in Matthew and Tracy, and you guys blew it out of the water. Just every week, new like stories, new hard work. It was just incredible watching your journey. I guess I just want to say that I'm proud of you guys for the work that you put in. It's been incredible. But now that we of course, you've graduated from the program, you said you're still hitting 80s and 90s consistently. What is life like now as like from your perspective, what has changed? Not like the numbers, but what does life feel like?
It feels more normal, honestly. Like I don't feel like we're struggling with this disease anymore. Now I feel like it's part of our life, you know. It's become our new normal, but not catastrophic. You know what I mean? Like now I only wake up one time in the middle of the night. And that's just out of habit. Like I really don't have to because he stays pretty steady all night long, but it's just a habit that doesn't die. I wake up whether my alarm is set or not. But I feel more secure and I feel safer knowing that we have the tools to handle whatever happens and we can actually just leave the house and go about doing our thing as long as we bring the necessary equipment with us. You know, now we're actually venturing out in July. We're going to Florida. So we're taking our first trip with diabetes. It's our first August trip in North Carolina. So we're venturing out. We want our life back. You know, we're an adventurous family. We were always the type to go, you know, river rafting and camping and, you know, we love adventures. So that's going to be more our lifestyle again, which is great.
I love that. So it opened doors, and it's just a feeling of like we can do what we want now. We don't have to be held back. Is that kind of the idea?
Yeah, it's freedom. Because honestly, we were cooped up in the house. We were both like, we're not leaving. We're just staying here because it's our safe zone. We're not going to go anywhere or do anything.
Sometimes when we're out or just even at home, it just feels like I don't even have the disease anymore because I know that it's fine. We have everything set. Everything's fine.
My goodness, I'm going to start tearing up. I love hearing that. That's incredible, Matthew. Thanks for sharing that. Oh, man. Okay, so now we've got the freedom. And like Matthew said, sometimes it feels like we don't have the disease right now anymore. That's amazing. I know there's a lot of other parent and child combos, just like yourself out there. We've had a few people come in since you guys have graduated from the program. You were there with another mom and daughter combo in the program. That was super fun to see you guys interacting in there. We've got some in our program now. I would love to hear your perspective, both of you, if possible, on like what would you tell someone who's on the fence, who is the parent-child combo, or the child has type 1, if they were hesitant or even just thinking about it? What would you say to them?
It's the best investment you will ever make because it's your child, and I would give anything for him, anything. So don't even think about it. Just do it. And do what you got to do. Whatever it takes, get it done. Because honestly, best decision we made by far. Now I'm tearing up.
And for the child's perspective, it makes life a lot easier.
It does. Less pain, you know, like you don't want to see your kids suffer. They don't want to suffer. And it gives you the sense of, I can do this, I can handle this, and you see them succeeding, and it's such a great feeling. And it's also bonding. Like him and I are incredibly close. We were close before, but now like we're inseparable close.
Oh. Yeah. I mean, I see you guys, Matthew's hugging you right now. It's just like, oh, this is so amazing, this atmosphere. Oh my goodness. And Matthew, just a quick question for you. Was it scary, like being in the coaching program as such a young guy, a young man going through it? Or were you okay? Were you confident? What were your thoughts going through that with other people?
So it wasn't really scary at any point. The community is very nice. There wasn't any mean people in it. Like just in general, everyone was really nice.
That's awesome. I'm super happy to hear that. I know that every time you shared, everyone was like big smiles. They're like, oh, Matthew's here and he's sharing like 100% time in range, 90% time in range. And they're all just like, dang, okay, if Matthew can do it, I have no excuse.
And that's the thing too, is that being on the calls every week, like we also gained information from other diabetics that were going through it, and you don't feel so alone. We felt very alone in the beginning because we didn't know anybody that had it. He's the first in our family. So we felt really alone. And when we joined your program, I'm like, oh my God, there's a whole community of people that struggle with this every day. And there were things that I learned even food-wise, like when we were told, oh, hey, for pancakes, which is his favorite, don't use syrup because it's a spiker, use whipped cream, which we still to this day use. So, you know, you become more in a community, you become more
It's
guess you feel
comforting.
welcome. Yeah, you feel more comfortable and more welcomed, and you find a tribe of people that you just they get you and they know what you're going through. They're going through it too, you know.
Hmm. I love that. I couldn't agree more. Like selfishly, I also get that from the community where I'm like, yes, people like me. So yeah, I love that. That was something you both experienced in there. If it's cool, I want to add in one more question
Yeah.
that to kind of wrap this all up. And if Matthew wants to answer it, cool. If not, it's up to you guys. But I would love to know a golden nugget that you'd like to share with those who are watching the video about diabetes. Maybe it was about your mindset surrounding it, an epiphany or an aha moment that you had. What would be a golden nugget that you'd like to share?
You want to go first?
Yeah, a big moment of like, this is it. This is going to be great in general for life. Was when we got the basal set and the carb ratio down, and it was just so simple. Basically, it got so much less complicated. Like before, we would be so confused. Like, oh, why is this making us spike? We got this set amount of carbs, we shot the same amount, and I went up, and it didn't make sense. Or one time I'll spike up to like 300 from pizza, and another I won't. I'll just stay in range. And then we learned more from the program, and it just helped in general.
So
I
much
love
more.
that.
Yeah, like there's so it's not like there's not one golden nugget because the whole program's like a golden nugget because it's not just learning about, you know, basals or bolus. You're learning the exercise. You're learning. I didn't know he needed to be hydrated nonstop. Like the, you know, the hydration. There's so many little golden nuggets in your program that all just turn into this one big blessing, honestly, because there's just so much that you learn that the doctors don't tell you. And who has time to sit when you're managing diabetes for a child to sit and research for hours on end and want to use your child as a guinea pig? You've done that
Right.
for everyone, and that in itself is spectacular because what you've implemented helps everyone. And, you know, it's not like, oh, it's just going to work for him. No, it works for everyone if you put the work in and you do it. Like the biggest, I think, drive for me is that I won't quit until we get this, you know, to a place where he can have a normal life, where he can enjoy his life and not be depressed. And because it's very easy to become depressed when you're strapped with a disease that you know you'll have forever. And to get him to feel like, hey, I got this, you know, and that's your program did that for us. Like the, hey, I got this. I'm not worried about it, you know. So that's a golden nugget too, you know, like you can live and not be afraid and not fall into a depression and be like, I can't do this anymore because the diabetes burnout, it's real. I mean, we weren't even a year in before we found your program and I was burnt to death. I'm like, oh my God, we're not even a year and I got to do this forever. And so does he. Like that feeling it's not in our mind anymore, you know?
Wow. I mean, you guys just made my day. Just hearing about the hope that you've been able to achieve through this. I mean, I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say. That's just so incredible that you're. I honestly don't know what to say right now. I'm so happy. What was that?
That's a first. You always know what to say.
I'm just so happy to hear that you guys are able to get your life back and accomplish those incredible things. And this is a testament to your work. I want to make sure that is clear. Like I gave you the blueprint, but that's it. You put the work in, both of you. You worked very hard, and because of that, you were able to accomplish it. So, you know, be proud of yourselves, own that because you earned it. And I am just so proud of you and all the effort that both of you put in. Seriously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And as an added bonus from your program, we just found out last week my 5-year-old nephew was just diagnosed with early type 1.
Oh,
So
wow.
he's number 2 in my family now.
Hmm.
So my little sister, yeah, her son was diagnosed with early type 1.
Hmm.
So, you know, you might be getting another a smaller child. I don't know how young you'll go, but, you know, I try to help her as much as I can. But I think she needs to have the program, you know, that's set.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. It's never a fun piece of news, but there is an exciting portion of that, and that is that they have Matthew to look
And
up
that's
to.
the thing.
They
They have
have
hope
you.
because of this, because of our training, they have hope because they see how much he's succeeding. It's not as
Exactly.
scary to them because I know I was devastated when it happened for me. But she actually, my sister is handling it well. She has hope because she's like, you guys are doing it and you're doing it, successfully and with a smile. So she doesn't feel so intimidated by it.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we took a few younger people recently, so in the single digits. But yeah, I'm so happy that you were able to give them hope through that. I mean, that's my little sister is diagnosed after me, and I think that that was a big part of why she was able to take it in stride, to see somebody else already doing it, right? So that's awesome, Matthew. You get to be a role model now, and I cannot wait to hear how that goes. And just again, I am so proud of both of you. The work that you put in, the results you're able to accomplish, it's absolutely incredible. And it serves as a great motivator for the rest of us, that we can see how disciplined you were and just how far you've come. So great job with that. Super proud of you guys. And I wanted just to say thank you so much for making time to come share your stories. And there's a lot of parents out there that just don't know what is out there and don't have a lot of hope. And I think that your story alone is going to show them that there is possibility for a greater quality of life. And I want to thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Honestly, thank you, Matt. You changed our lives. You really did.
Thank you.
And just do it. Like I can't even express that enough. And I tell people, like, just do it. There's no reason to even question it for a second. Just do it because you will not be sorry. I promise you, you will not be sorry.
It's such a good investment that there is like no words to say, but just do it.
Yeah.
Because you won't realize it until like you've got into it.
Once you've
Yeah.
gotten out of the program, you're like,
realize
my
what you
God, that
mean."
was the best thing I could have ever done. Honestly, like you're not, and he's not paying us to say this. This is for real. This is very real. He knows what he's talking about. So listen to Matt and do the work, because after you put the work in the beginning, the hard work, and it feels impossible in the beginning, it gets so much easier, and then it's not work anymore. Then it becomes this easy, normal thing that you're used to. So do it. Put in the work in the beginning, and do your program, and you will benefit 100%.
I love
Like
that.
Matt said, he's giving us the blueprint for basically paradise, and then if we put in the work to build it, then paradise, you get paradise.
There you go. I love that. Oh my goodness, I could talk to you guys all day about this, but I won't. I'm going to let you guys get off. But thank you so much for your time, both of you. For everybody watching, there is actually a training that we put together. I believe it's the same training that Tracy watched initially, where I tell my story and kind of a few pieces of what I taught them in this program. If you guys who are watching want to check that out, it's a free resource, free video you can check out at diabetesinaction.com. And I invite you to go join us over there. All right, Tracy and Matthew, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story. I know it's going to help a lot of people to see the light and that there is hope with type 1 diabetes. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Matt.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Everybody else, we'll see you at the training and keep up the fight.